What's up, everyone? First of all, I appreciate everybody checking out my video about Project Veritas and their discoverings of CNN, the quote-unquote news organization. You know what? I'm gonna be honest. The way that CNN has treated the president and some of the other liberal networks, I don't feel sorry for them at all. There's no mercy, and frankly, I wish that everyone in America would boycott them so their ratings go negative. I'm not talking just zero. I want it to be like negative 15 when it comes to their ratings. I want it just in the tank. Reason is because they ramped and raved over being accused of being fake news. The president's calling us fake news. And I think what people need to understand is that fake news isn't just reporting false information. It is also putting a twist or narrative on the information you're reporting, or also excluding information that would enlighten the audience for some political agenda. Not just because it is truth, but because you are working coincide with an organization or group to paint a false narrative. Now, why is that important? President once said that is, fake news is the enemy of the people. Why is that important? They got all upset. Oh, I can't believe he said this. He's trying to muffle the mouth of the media. That's not what he's saying. Look at our country. Right now, we have people, if you are a Republican or conservative, you might lose a family member. If you're on a job and you get in there and you say, hey man, yeah, I voted for Donald Trump, you might get fired. If you black and you said you supported Donald Trump, you get your black card revoked. When the election was taking place and I talked about, yeah, maybe y'all should be thinking about voting for Donald Trump. Not because of his personality, but listening to his policies and the stuff that he was saying that actually made sense to a large majority of Americans, but was too afraid to say, yeah, I feel him, because of course you get attacked. And so what I'm saying is this, when it comes to your conservative views in this society we're living in right now, you got to be careful. Everything's politically correct. You got to be like, oh, should I say it this way? Should I talk about politics? I might get the hammer, at my job. My wife might break up with me if she's liberal. I mean, they have caused such division within our society because some folks aren't able to see through the media twists and the over-exaggerated response to everything that Donald Trump does, and painting such a false narrative about his motives and intent. And that's the whole purpose of what the media, the liberal media, and the Democrats are doing. Just so they can win an election, just so they can get Donald Trump out, they will take something that is practical and makes sense, but create division in our society by putting a negative or secret sadistic intent behind it. For example, wanting to keep our country safe from people who might come in and possibly be a terrorist. Instead of just saying that's smart, what they're saying is that's motivated by racism. It has nothing to do with racism. I love everybody. I'm not racist, but I'm smart enough to say don't let just anybody roll up in there. Even at your house, you wouldn't do that. If somebody knocked on your door at 3 a.m. talking about, yeah, my car broke down around the corner, can I come in and use your phone? You would go, stay right there, buddy. I have to vet you. And then people talk about well, if we let 250,000 refugees in to our country, all of them, and maybe 1 or 2 of them might be terrorists, but the majority aren't. Okay, are we to take that risk with the 1 or 2? If I gave you a bag of Skittles, of 1,000 Skittles, and I said 2 of them are laced with cyanide, would you say, I'll eat them anyway? No, you would go, I don't want to take 1 of those because it could be the worst one. So it's no different than this. And people, because of the media, they jump on it, something that makes sense, they bite a chunk, they tie into public emotions. And this what causes the division in our society. So in that case, yes, they are an enemy of the people because the people voted Donald Trump in for a reason. And they're not getting it. They think they're fighting against Donald Trump. They're really fighting against the millions of voters that voted him in. And it's the same thing. I would hope the Democrats would learn the lesson. The majority of society, or a large majority of society, don't think like them, but they just assume they do. and they throw out all this stuff, and they focus on these small little agendas and interest groups while isolating a large majority of Americans, thinking that this is what the people want, instead of asking what the people want. And they're not learning from it. And so they've been on this big old fat witch hunt in cahoots with the media, and it's now starting to backfire, because all of this false narrative, hate that they're talking about, Donald Trump, if it was up to them, he hates everybody. I mean, he hates his family, he hates his friends, he hates blacks, whites, Chinese, he might even hate himself. Donald Trump hates himself, and you know, it's that serious and that aggressive, and it is so obvious that everybody, unless you're blind or completely brainwashed by this whole Trump hysteria, you see right through it and you go, man, y'all are as fake as they come. Soon as y'all get on TV, y'all going in hard. It is your mission to make this man look bad. And for people who are casual viewers, people who do not follow politics, people who are like lemmings, they just follow the head lemming, even if it jumps off a cliff. They don't question, where you going, man? Whoa, it's a cliff up there. I'm not going off that cliff. They just follow along. And because they trust some of these quote unquote media outlets, they just take what they say for face value. Perfect example, when Donald Trump announced he was running, and I watched his whole announcement and I'm listening to it. Then I watched CNN that night, and the headline says, Donald Trump calls Mexicans rapists, murderers, and drug dealers. And I said, that is not how I interpreted it when I watched the whole thing in context. But for all of those people who didn't watch the whole thing in context and just turned on CNN, they put their spin to it, and sure enough, watching that, you would have bought into a false narrative that he called every single Mexican rapists, drug dealers, and murderers. And that's not what he did. They assigned a internal motive behind his decision to tighten up our borders that he himself never said. He never said, I hate Mexicans, that's why we tightening up the border. But they said he's doing it because he hates Mexicans. So you see how it works. That is why they're getting the hammer right now in the media, because it shows that it's all fake. They are simply doing this to create a false narrative, to get this man out of office, and also because they need to save face, because during the pre-election, they had a field day laughing about Donald Trump. Oh, he'll never get elected. There's like zero chance of him ever getting elected. Now, eggs in their face, and they can't handle it, and it's all backfiring on them. And they are about to set up the Democratic Party again for failure, along with the DNC, who's doing this, which is wasting nothing but money, nothing but taxpayers' dollars, because there is nothing to this Russian collusion garbage that they're throwing out there. And I hope that any reasonable thinking person would see through this, whether you like Donald Trump or not. You're being duped if you are one of the people who bought into this whole Russia collusion story. The fact of the matter is they lost because they didn't have a message. They had a weak candidate who assumed that she was going to win, and they had collusion with the media who pumped her up and made her think that she was going to win, and she fell for the I'm so secure, I can ride it out. She took a knee, y'all. She looked at the clock, said it's 2 minutes on the clock. I think I got enough time. Let me see. I hit a knee. Tight turtle. Everybody get in, ready, and took the knee, and it was still time on the clock. They got the ball, hit him with the old school Ben Roethlisberger / Joe Montana in about 2 seconds, scored a touchdown and beat you at the end. And so they can't take it. They can't deal with it. And now they're up there painting all this garbage about collusion when they get caught on Project Veritas, really admitting that this is nothing but gibberish. So that's my take on it. Yeah, of course, thanks for all the good comments. And for those that, I can't believe you've been brainwashed by, it's funny how people say, you've been brainwashed by Fox News or whatever. I'm going, no, I've been brainwashed by logic and reasoning and the ability to assess a situation in context and see through all of the propaganda and the garbage and use some practical applications. Smart stuff. I'm not going to fall for the narrative that the media throws on it. When I go, my common sense tells me that we need to tighten up the borders. My common sense tells me that if overseas they're having problems with terrorism because they just simply allowed everybody to come in without vetting them. My common sense tells me we shouldn't do that. That is what not to do, America. And yet people begging for it because they think we're saying this because we hate Muslims or something. And I'm going to have nothing to do with that. You know, common sense tells you these things. And when you listen to the media, it's all driven by hate, emotions. It's the downfall, man. It's the downfall of many. So all of those that's going to comment negatively about my little post, just get out your emotions, okay? Anyway, holler at y'all later. Peace.